This is your Missouri Medical Marijuana Update for February 16th, 2019. There's much news on the legislative side with expungement legislation moving forward. Strangely also moving forward is protection for employees that wish to terminate medical marijuana users. And the first medical certification clinic is being set up in Kansas City. Also, a recent study has shown that there are significant reductions in teen marijuana usage in states that have passed medical marijuana legislation.
My name is Patrick Nolan. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of Missouri. This is Pat Talks Law.
There is a lot happening with Missouri medical marijuana. The Missouri House Special Committee on Criminal Justice approved House Bill 341, which was sponsored by Representative Hicks. House Bill 341 provides certain expungements of marijuana convictions, and this bill was passed out of committee on a 7-2 vote. This is a significant step towards this bill becoming law in the state of Missouri, but it is by no means the final or most important step. Let's talk a little bit about how a bill actually becomes law in Missouri. Representatives file bills anytime from December 1st through the 60th day of the session. Bills are introduced by the bill number and its title by the House reading clerk. Then a bill goes on the calendar for a second reading. After the second reading, the bill is then assigned to a committee by the Speaker of the House. The committee to which a bill is assigned will hold a public hearing where the bill is presented to the committee by the sponsor, and then both proponents of the bill and opponents of the bill will be heard. We already had this step in House Bill 341. Then the committee will meet and vote on the bill, and the committee may vote to report the bill to the House with a recommendation that it do pass with amendments, that a committee substitute for the bill do pass, or they might recommend that it do not pass. And finally, they could also report the bill without a recommendation at all. A bill could also be pulled from committee by a 1/3 vote of the House members. After that stage, and this is where we are at with House Bill 341, the bill is placed on the perfection calendar. When the bill comes up for consideration, it is debated on the House floor. Amendments may be offered, they will be debated, they will be voted on, and they can be proposed by any House member. When all the amendments that have been proffered have been debated and voted on, the bill as amended is voted on. If it passes that vote, then it is ordered perfected and printed. Following the perfection and printing stage, there is a third reading placed on the calendar. If the bill is subsequently approved by a minimum of 82 votes, the bill will be sent to the Senate, where a similar process takes place. If the Senate amends the bill in any way, 5 members from each house are designated as a conference committee. They will meet and conform the bills to each other, and then the bills will go back to each respective house for a final vote. If it passes that final vote, the bill is declared truly agreed to and finally passed. Then that bill is sent to the governor who, well, he may sign it into law, he could sit on it until it becomes law, or he could veto it. The process is fairly long, and there are a lot of ways for a bill to get off track. However, Governor Parsons has stated in the past that he supports an expungement bill for marijuana convictions. There is a fairly long process left, but this bill is making progress. In other Missouri medical marijuana legislative news, Senator David Slater, a Republican from Cassville, sponsored Senate Bill 227, which grants Missouri employers the right to discriminate against medical marijuana users in employment. Senate Bill 227 states that employers will still be allowed to do random drug testing, and that positive drug tests can still be grounds for dismissal or choosing not to hire a prospective employee, regardless of their medical marijuana status. Senator Slater said that it's important to spell out these protections in the law so that employers can have confidence in taking these actions. Quote, with Amendment 2, there are many employers who are reluctant to drug test and operate as they have in the past, end quote. Slater's bill now awaits a vote in the Senate Small Business and Industry Committee. On the upside, the first medical cannabis clinic is now set to open in Kansas City. The Green Clinic will have 2 doctors, state licensed and board certified. And CEO Emily Branch said, quote, our clinic is not a rubber stamp. That's not how it works. Not everyone who wants to use cannabis will qualify, and we're sticklers for following the law and its spirit to the letter. That said, hundreds of thousands of our friends and neighbors have legitimate medical need, and their mission is to help them gain access to the medicine that will help them feel better. In response, the Department of Health and Senior Services posted a message on its website that reads, quote, DHSS would like to remind the public that any physician certifications they receive for medical marijuana must be no more than 30 days old at the time the individual applies for patient identification. And DHS will not begin accepting patient identification applications until July 4th, 2019. Personally, I'd also caution people that are seeking medical marijuana cards, patient identification, to be aware that the state isn't going to be accepting license applications for cultivators, dispensaries, manufacturing facilities, testing facilities, and such until August 3rd of 2019. And the state may not approve any operation until December 31st of 2019. Given the growing periods and the need for the infrastructure, medical cannabis may not be available until spring of 2019. You may want to wait until you have a reasonable chance to buy medical marijuana before you pay the state for a medical card. Finally, a new study published in the American Journal of Drug and Alcohol Abuse found that teens living in states that allow medical cannabis are actually less likely to use the drug compared to those in non-legal states. Researchers at Boston College looked at national youth drug surveys from 1999 to 2015. That's a data set that involved more than 860,000 adolescents across the United States. They investigated how self-reported marijuana use changed in the states that have either decriminalized cannabis possession or legalized it for medical purposes. Opponents of legalization have long argued that loosening marijuana laws would drive more youth to consume cannabis. Now, the study showed the opposite result. And, I just had this discussion with our elected sheriff the other day. He argued that the world was going to end now that we had medical marijuana. Drug use was going to skyrocket, marijuana use was going to increase in the schools and by younger children. A real end-of-days discussion. However, the study shows that's just not true. The enactment of medical cannabis laws has been associated with a 1.1 percentage point reduction in marijuana use among teens. States that have simply decriminalized cannabis possession entirely actually didn't experience the same reductions in youth marijuana use. The study also found that there were slight declines in usage among 14-year-olds and Hispanic youth. But the broader reductions were only seen in medical marijuana states. This has been your Missouri Medical Marijuana Update for February 16, 2019. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.